I grew up such a fan of sports memorabilia and sports cards, and I'm really excited that this show is both going to highlight that as well as the awesome entrepreneurs that make it all possible. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Talking Shop. On today's episode, we have a very special man from Goldin Auctions, and that is Ken Goldin. Ken, welcome to the show, man.
Glad to be here, Buster.
Man, I'm so excited. You know, we were just talking right before this. You've got an incredible shelf there behind you. We'll get into all of that.
Yep.
But I want to talk about your origin in sports cards. Where did the passion first begin? Was it because of a flip? Was it because you enjoyed collecting? Where did that passion, that fire get started?
So my story is going to be different than probably 99.9% of the viewers. I always grew up, I was the youngest in the business, always. Now I'm not the youngest anymore. So literally in 1978, 79, I used to go to the drugstore, buy packs of cards, and I would collect them, try and find all the cards. And then one day, a friend of mine came over my house, and I had this like Lola electric race car set that had just come out, got as a gift. So he liked my track, and he goes, I really like that. And we started discussing, we came up with a deal where I gave him my electric race car set and track, and he gave me his baseball card collection. That back then it was just baseball cards because the other sports really weren't much. Nobody knew what the stuff was worth. There was no internet. There was no price guides, right? I think my track was probably worth $10 less than the retail price because it was used. So it was probably $29, $39. And his cards at the time were probably worth about $1,000. Nobody knew. I spent 3 months sorting them out, and I said, oh my God, this is great. So I started buying and selling, and what I did was I wanted to build like the best collection in the world. So I looked at every card and would go to flea markets, and I would put ads out. As literally a 14-year-old kid, 1980, somebody found an ad that I put out in 1980 when I was 14 years old, and about buying cards, and I would buy them for cash. And then I'd spend time sorting out. I'd pick out the best ones. I wanted to make complete sets. And back then, I had one person brought me 900 T206 cards. 900. Almost all of them were polar bear backs, which was, one of the scarcer backs because I guess their grandfathers, was a polar bear, tobacco user. So I picked out, I'd pick out the best Cobbs, the best everything. Never found a Wagner. And I would sell off the rest to pay for my habit, pay for my addiction. And, I made money. I enjoyed it. I made money with it. I bought my first car, went to college, and that's pretty much what really got me into it. And back then, if somebody had a card that was 30 years old, you're talking 1950s. Nowadays, someone has something that's 30 years old, you're like, oh God, more junk wax era stuff, right? You don't want it. But it was a crazy and fun time, and I just really grew up with it. When the first price guide came out, I memorized it. I said, "Oh my God!" It's like I memorized every single page.
You guys have sold over $1 billion in cards and memorabilia.
Yep.
Out of that $1 billion plus, what are some of the craziest finds that come to mind? Because a lot of, running an auction house is finding people who have collections that sometimes people don't know about. Do you have any crazy find stories of like old grandmothers who had these collections? Is there anything like that comes to the top?
Sure. Well, I wish I had it now, but somebody found a complete M101 4 set, which is the Sporting News Babe Ruth rookie card. And they had a complete set, and we got the complete set grade. Unfortunately, this is before they really took off. This is like 2014. And we got the complete set grade, and most of them were like 6s and 7s, which is unheard of. But the Ruth was a 4, which I was really bummed out. But they said, yeah, there's a paper loss on the back, and they couldn't grade it above a 4. That was amazing. Some of the times you meet somebody who is a relative of or met a player. Like one of the coolest stories I had was somebody called me up, and he said, I was given this bat by Jackie Robinson in 1956 in between a doubleheader. I said, what's this? He goes, I have a bat. I said, okay. So I gave me his name. I Googled him. Turns out that his grandfather founded a New York chapter of the NAACP. So I guess it was a famous family. And then I contacted John Taub, PSA, and he looked at the bat and said, yeah, this bat was produced in it's a 55, 56 label bat. and it's definitely a 10. And this provenance is unbelievable. To meet somebody who literally in 1956 walked on the field and was handed a bat by Jackie Robinson was incredible. But the best of all time has to be, for memorabilia, the best of all time has to be when somebody, a picker for $1, bought a 1916 Babe Ruth Boston Red Sox game used bat. They were cleaning at a house. For me personally, the best find I ever had was probably when I was 16, way before Goldin Auctions. I got a phone call from a company called Philly Stamp and Coin. I lived in New Jersey. And they said, yeah, we're cleaning out this house, and we thought maybe you might want to see what's in this attic. I went in the attic. There was about 800 boxes of 1951 Topps Redback and Bluebacks. Boxes, like 800. The value today would be staggering. And I remember the biggest thing on my mind was, okay, I cannot let anybody know how much product there is. And how much, and the guy wanted some ridiculous numbers. So I just started randomly cold calling people and saying, I've got a box of 1951 Topps. They wouldn't believe it. So, obviously it was difficult to prove, but that was probably like personally the greatest find that I personally have ever found.
That's pretty extraordinary. Now, you started memorabilia business around age 20 with your father. Is it true that you signed Mickey Mantle and DiMaggio to memorabilia contracts?
Yeah. So the goal was, we thought that people were going to card shows and they're waiting hours and hours and hours in line, and people are complaining they're sold out of tickets. So we said, let's make it accessible. So we signed Mantle to a contract. It was like for 10,000 autographs for prices ranging from $20 to $50, depending on what he signed. And then everybody started selling out. We started putting athletes on TV, like Mickey Mantle, who went on QVC, and DiMaggio went on HSN. So at one point, I had everybody. I mean, in baseball, I had Mantle, DiMaggio, Griffey, Nolan Ryan, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. In basketball, I had Kareem, I had Dr. J, I had Shaq, I had Kobe. In football, I had Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice. In hockey, I had Gretzky and Lemieux. And for good measure, I also had Muhammad Ali.
Whoa.
In 1990, I didn't realize, I should have videotaped it, but in 1990, Griffey Jr. was at my house, and we were in my basement playing video games. And I can't remember what exactly video game system I had in my house in 1990, but, he came in to sign. He goes, oh, why don't you come over? I was engaged at the time. I said, my fiance will cook us dinner and we'll play video games. He goes, oh, cool. So we just hung out like two little kids playing video games in my basement. Montana has always been great. I mean, Ripken has always been great. Mantle, when I got married, I guess Mickey learned I was getting married. He had a joke photo made out for me. I got back, and the day I got back from my honeymoon, it was, hey Ken, congratulations, the wedding is married life all it's cracked up to be. I'm like, I would know after a week.
Wow. Now I have here one of your prized possessions is a Babe Ruth ball that was hit when the new Yankee Stadium was built, and it was hit by Ruth taking batting practice during the winter so that they could figure out the length and whether the length of the field was right.
Yep.
How does somebody end up with this?
The groundskeeper, I guess, kept it that day, and And he went back to Ruth, and Ruth signed it and dated it. And if you had to go back to verify it, you had to go back in time and look at the old newspapers. And yes, in the newspapers on that day, it states that Babe Ruth, in his fur coat, went into the new Yankee Stadium to try it out and take a few practice swings.
Oh my God!
So it was legitimately the first home run at Yankee Stadium, even though it didn't count.
And do you think, obviously there are natural swings for the high end stuff because the numbers are so big? For example, I love the 93 SP Jeter foil rookie, right? That's one of my favorite cards.
Yep.
I bought a bunch, and 7 PSA 7s and 8s. And it's notoriously hard to grade. They're only 25 of the 10s.
Yep.
And one sold for I think it was about 600,000
Yep.
in one of the auctions,
Hmm.
and then another one sold for like 350,000 less than a month later. Are
Hmm.
things like that, cards like the Jordan, similarly, maybe even like the Rock card,
Hmm.
are those natural swings that you think would happen, or is it because fractional share companies are buying them because they know they can get higher prices? What do you think causes those sorts of market swings in such short periods of time?
I think that anybody who looks at any one individual sale and thinks that that is the new price of the card for any high-end card is mistaken. And that's what I think the problem is that people look at an individual sale price and think the card is worth that much. It's not the case. I can give you examples where an item sold for $300,000, but realistically, only two people went after it over 150,000.
Right. Now, in such a crazy and volatile market, which sports
Mhm.
cards have sort of shockingly become, especially for modern stuff, how do you know what to trust, especially on eBay? Right? Because on eBay, people will bid up comps just
Yep.
because they own so many
Yep.
of them. And
Yep.
since people at shows
Hmm.
base the prices of their cards off of the comps, but they bid up their own comps and trick people into spending more, how the hell do you know what to trust anymore? Or is it even possible?
Well, here's what I try and do. I have user data, which is what most people don't. Let's say own that we are, so we are the world's largest auction house. Just to put this in perspective, last year eBay as a company in sports cards did $2 billion. This year, Goldin, as a small company, will do $400 million, which basically means that we're doing 20% of what all of eBay does. And if you look at the high end market, I bet we do more on the high end market than eBay does. So what I do is I look at my own user data. I go I look at prior sales and I look who my underbidders are. And when you're dealing with especially the upper end stuff, you pretty much know who the bidders are and why they're bidding. There's a lot of times new names. And if I see somebody's constantly trying to buy a card and they constantly fall short, I have a pretty good idea that the next time I get that card, it's at least going to go for that amount because that guy's tried 3 times and he's lost.
Gotcha. No, that's great to know, especially for everybody listening. Now, you got a lot of stuff behind you that everybody's been looking at since we started.
Yep.
What sort of boxes do you have behind you? Looks like you have 86 Fleer. It looks like
Yep.
you've got 2007 Topps Chrome, a LeBron rookie box. What you got for us?
Okay, so I'll start here, and that is a case to break of Topps for Paul whenever he feels like doing baseball. And typically, what I do is, and on my floor, I have easy access. I'm not going to show you my floor because it's a pigsty. I've got easy accessible boxes, and the lower levels, I'll have more easily accessible boxes if Paul, wants to grab it. And here are, if you've ever seen it on Instagram at Ken Goldin, look for Paul's Polls. You'll see that he's got his own branded. PSA did his own branded for some of his good polls. They hammered him on the Jeter. Certainly, there's D Wade. So I try, and this is what I try and collect. Is I like the wax where I think it's a historic year. There's either an amazing card in it, or it's a historic year where there's a wide breadth of cards. So right here, you've got, of course, the famous Trout. We know that's where the Trout Superfractor came from. That's where all the Trout refractors came from. I know I'm not getting the super, but maybe I'll get an orange out of there. Maybe I'll get a blue. You were
You
talking
got
about Jeter.
there we go. That's the box.
There you go. Jeter, 93 SP. That's the first Upper Deck SP LeBron. So I gravitate towards '03 sealed product, '86 sealed product, '96 sealed product, basketball. Because there's a lot of different rookies in there. Obviously, there is a Bird Magic, 80-81 Topps, '03 Fleer, couple 1980 boxes just to bring me back my childhood with Ricky Henderson rookies.
Crazy.
'03, there's Chrome. This is a nice one. That's 72 basketball for Dr. J rookie.
What? I've never even seen that box.
Here we go. Boom. Great. There we go. Okay, let me do this. There's my Greg Raymer bobblehead that Poker Stars gave me back in the day. So
Nice.
that is a 72, 73 box, BBCE certified. So that is where you can get your Irving rookie out of.
Wow.
There, of course, is 86 Fleer, Skybox Metal. There's Joe Montana's rookie year, more 03 Upper Deck, more 03, more 03, more 03. The whole top row is all 03 basketball.
What do you do? Is that $1 million in boxes right there?
I probably have 2 million in wax. I have some exquisite cases and some other stuff that I keep locked up out of reach. I mean, Paul knows not to, we make jokes that he's going to bust open the 86 Fleer, but no, he's not going to bust open the 86 Fleer. But and then I've got some personal favorites, like I have, this was my favorite player growing up, Steve Carlton with the Phillies. So when I had to get, I'm still looking for a 10. I've got a 9.
Nice.
This is, here we go. We're doing show and tell.
Always.
This is not mine. I did
Okay.
own, I will tell you the best item I ever owned and no longer own because I'm an idiot. But
Whoa! Hold up. Hold up.
let's get that. Okay, so that is the Tetro 6 Honus Wagner. And there you can see, now one of these sold for $2.5 million in authentic condition, and the whole back was peeled off because of it was stuck to a scrapbook. So this one is actually Goldin Auctions is selling. Closes May 22nd. Hopefully we set a new record at $5.3 million for most valuable card. But this is a really nice one. But what I owned, so look, I am. A lot of people would like to spend a portion of what I spend. I can be an addicted buyer. Okay, so if I I went to the Sotheby's auction in '99 when the Barry Halper collection. I just kept raising my hand. If I'm in a buying mood, the other auction houses like to see me coming. So in 2000, I guess there's an uncut sheet, a strip with Honus Wagner, Cy Young, and 3 other cards, and it's a proof, so it's a blank back. So that was in the Barry Halper collection. It sold for $99,000 back in 1999. Now, for some strange reason, the guy who bought it auctioned it off within the next 6 months, 7 months. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm saying, okay, because I spent enough at that auction. I didn't want to buy the strip at the time. But now later I got, business going well. It's like $66,000. Is that thing really $66,000? So I took the next bid, $72,000. I won it. So I held on to this damn thing from 2000 to 2008. Of course, you have the financial crisis. You've got everything going on crazy. Somebody calls me up who knew I had it. And, I've got a customer. Would you sell it for $150,000? So I said, it's locked in a safe deposit box. It was in my old house at the time. I'm afraid to do anything with it. I'm not looking at it. Yeah, I'll sell it for $150,000. Of course, 3 years later, I decided to open up Goldin Auctions, which that would have been like an amazing thing. If I really wanted to sell it, I could have sold it. But in 2011, it sold a different auction house for, I think, $450,000. Today, it's probably worth $4 million. Yeah. So that's my story of the one. I think there were 4 people over history who have owned it. I can tell you that Keith Olbermann owns it now because he showed it at the Tops party, breaking party. And then when he showed it, I said, "That's my Wagner. I owned that for 8 years, buddy."
Wow. That is crazy.
Yep.
It would be funny if now for high-end cards, you could track what collections they're in if people want them. Wouldn't that be a cool website if there was a site that allowed people to say they had stuff if they had it?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess kind of like PSA Registry does, but again, collecting a little bit. So For myself, I collect game used, vintage, and modern and vintage. What am I going to do? I'm not going to find a 1952 wax box. And if I did, I'm not going to spend the money for it. So I'll collect wax that I like. And for Paul, I collect modern cards. So I'll go out and I'll get all of his favorite players. So I'll get the Trout rookies. I'll get the Embiid RPAs. I'll get Harden. I'll get Durant. I'll get LeBron.
Right.
Those type of things. And so I'm like collecting with him, so he learns about it and he grows up with it.
Amazing. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for showing all that stuff off. Ken Goldin, I know people can find you at Ken Goldin and obviously at Goldin Auctions. So Ken, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Hey, thank you. I hope it was a good one for you.